no like you wahala. My business, my business. I think I got my rubber. I don't want your palava. My business, my business.
When your whole world comes crashing down, please look up. Assemble the team. It's showtime. The brains waking up.
What'd you have for breakfast?
We are the sound of Lagos, and this is
Discover the power of words on mainland 98.3 FM Lagos. Unleash your intellect with our stimulating talk shows, from current affairs to inspiring stories. Miss the airwaves.
Dear Nigerians, I am determined, I repeat, to give you the affordable and reliable power.
The stakes are higher than ever.
Government policy does not support youth in this country. So if you say you have any
Greater. The demand for quality blueprints needed to make informed decisions is constantly being reviewed.
You can't start hiding under party.
Mainland FM provides the platform where all of your demands are met. Issue-based conversations about politics from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. as we engage and interact towards setting the agenda for proper accountability and public engagements. The Situation Room is here. We welcome the roommates.
Yes, good evening and welcome to the Situation Room on 98.3 Mainland FM. The sound of Lagos. It's 2 minutes gone past hour of 4 and it's time for us to discuss the situation as it is hot. Yes, my name is OMOBOLA Sandra. I'll be sitting in for 괏ʟʟᴏᴡ today on the Situation Room, and we have about two topics we're going to be looking at this evening as we carry on the program. I won't be doing this alone. I will introduce my guest in a few minutes from now. So, as I mentioned earlier, we have two interesting topics that we're going to be looking at. The first 30 minutes will look at repeated cases of stampede as regards palliative sharing across Nigeria. I mean, is the government trying to turn us into a palliative dependent state? I got that from Baristata and I had to write that down because it almost seems like, are we going to become a palliative dependent, state? Any small issue, any small situation, any small inconvenience, they bring out bags of rice, they bring out bags of beans, and then, after 2 months, 3 months, we're back to position. So what exactly is that? And what about, crowd control and also the implementation? I've always had conversations with Said Fuhad in the morning as regards his thoughts towards palliative, which is very clear. He doesn't support palliative, but there's one thing that he always says: even if they're going to roll out palliative or intervention projects and whatnot, I mean, the implementation of it is very poor. The implementation in Nigeria as regards any policy, as regards any initiative, is really, really poor. And we, in recent times, I mean, just different parts of the country, we've had people either losing their lives, people being injured. I mean, the unfortunate story that we have from Kefi, we have another one from Yobe, we have Yaba at the customs office. We also have some other cases, different parts of the country, and then we also have the situation where some people found some palliative somewhere and then they went and ransacked the place, and because what is he doing here? And I think that's a backdrop to, or that's the ripple effect or the consequence of what happened in 2020 when it was discovered that some of our leaders were hoarding palliatives that were meant to be shared to the people, were being stored in warehouses to the point that some of them had gone rotten. All right, so we need to look at that. Repeated cases of stampede in palliative sharing across Nigeria. That's for the first 30 minutes. And our second, we'll be looking at rights of electricity consumers in Nigeria. That's another one that we're going to be looking at. Yes, because in recent times, we also need to look at the fact that between 2017 and 2023, the power grid has collapsed 46 times. And aside from that, there's the challenge, or there's this unfortunate situation, that is confronting power consumers. The fact that especially those who are still working with the postpaid, that's the estimated billing, system. Very unfortunate situation where, people are paying for blackouts. People are paying for darkness. There's no power supply. There's no light, and people are paying for it. I remember sometime last year, or was it 2 years ago, on this same station, we had, a caller who was always, calling in to give report as regards a situation in their area where their transformer blew. And then, what the disco said was, hey, okay, so you guys are owing the disco to a tune of about 3 million or so pay that, and they will use it to buy your transformer for you and fix your transformer and all of that. That conversation is still ongoing. It's a very hot topic, although that has been resolved. But this situation or issue of people having to buy their wires, buy their transformers, buy their networks or whatnot, and why is it so difficult for our discos to just roll out these meters? Because there's also the conversation, discos are saying, oh, government parastatals are owing us, people are owing, and that's why it's difficult for us to distribute as appropriate and all of that. But then, if only, it's just like your card or your phone, when you have, as long as you have airtime, nobody's going to harass you, nobody's going to disturb you. It's not that after I'm done with my phone call, then the network provider will now send me, so this phone call that you just had now 6 minutes, so just pay us 1,000 naira for it. How did we arrive at 1,000? What exactly are the metrics with which they arrived at these figures, this estimated billing, quote and unquote? And I'm also going to be having a conversation with Barrister as regards the fact that some people are of the opinion that a lot of policies from the NERC, that's Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, a lot of their policies is more beneficial to the discos than the consumers, because in recent times there's serious blackouts, especially sometime last week there was a power grid collapse, and it affected a lot of people. Until now, there are some people that are still in that blackout. So what exactly are we benefiting from even all of this? What exactly is it? The government said they are paying subsidy, but even with the 65% subsidy that the government is Nigerians are still experiencing blackouts. So all of this and more is what we're going to be discussing in the Situation Room this evening. I already one way or the other mentioned the guest that we're going to be having. So yes, we have Barrister Mata with us this evening. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me today on the Situation Room. It's nice having you here today in replacement of your colleague.
Well, we do what we can. All right, so it's 8 minutes past 6, so we go full throttle into the conversation. This is Situation Room on Mainland 98.3 FM. We're live on Facebook and YouTube at Mainland 98.3 FM, so you can join the conversation on those platforms. You can drop your contribution in the live chat section, and we'll take the messages as the show progresses. And also, please do well to support us on our social media. Like, share, subscribe on our platforms. Yes, would appreciate incident that happened in Yᴏᴜᴜ, that happened in Kefi, and also the fact that Easter just ended. A lot of churches did a lot of, is it giveaway we'll call it now, or there was a lot of welfare sharing at this Easter period. And then Ramadan, Eid al-Fitr is coming up, and so this Salah period, no, it's not Salah to say, it's not Salah, this Eid al-Fitr that's coming up very soon, there will be more palliative sharing. And one thing that we need to look at is it's not just government that's now doing palliative sharing. Some private individuals are also they're also engaging in this. You just mentioned this evening that the Kano State the the Kano state government, they're sharing, but then private businesses as well, Dangote as well. Then sometime 2 weeks or so ago, there was also a private business that was trying to share some things, and then people got injured, few people lost their lives. So as regards palliative sharing, is it the problem, the intervention itself? Is it the problem, or is it the implementation of it? Because there are some people, whether we like it or not, that are benefiting from this palliative sharing. There are some people that would, even if it's the 2.5 kg of rice, they don't mind as long as they get something and they can feed their family. So is it the palliative that is the problem? The fact that they're always, they're making a lot of people more dependent on these things, or is it the implementation of it? Or do you think there are other ways by which the government can intervene as regards this economic hardship, especially on the vulnerable?
I think we need to start from the foundation, and that borders on the government. What are the primary responsibility of the government? And that is to cater for the welfareism of Nigerians. Because any government that cannot cater for the welfareism of its people, that is not a government. And more so that the government are also benefiting from all these lacunas and loopholes. Because you will see that once a loophole of this species is created, government will capitalize on that and make more money from it as they are creating projects for themselves, thereby creating an enabling atmosphere for Nigerians. An atmosphere that cannot factor in whether or not Nigerians can benefit from. So the point I'm making in this sense is that you see that the government have failed woefully. If you ask me to rate governments, I will rate them 2/10 because the government have failed in all aspects, more particularly aspect that borders on the welfareism of Nigerians. So the foundation is that the government have failed, one, and the government is trying to cover up for their shame and inability or incompetency per se by introducing palliative. If you look at the provisions of the Constitution and every other law, I don't see anything that bothers or say palliative. The government should create a palliative for people to benefit. Is the government trying to build up a setup to cover up for something? That's my little understanding.
But I think that's why we have the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Social Intervention, which, by the way, a lot of people have problems with, because ever since that ministry has been set up, it has been, beguiled with one corruption case or the other. The immediate past minister is currently going through one. The one that was just, appointed just a few months ago is also going through our own, where, they just say, oh, we spent this billion because we try to help people. We spend this billion. So government sees the need to cushion effects of certain policies. So are you saying that?
No, beyond that, let us start from the foundation, because the way the government is taking it now is like the government is taking Nigerians for granted. How? Any small thing, palliative. You have said you want to remove fuel subsidy. The government have removed it. What then happened to the inflow of cash flow that is coming to the states? Before now, if 10 billion is coming to the states, but with the removal of the subsidy, about 20 million or more than that is coming to the states. Why is it that people cannot come out to ask from their state governor? Why is it that you cannot implement the minimum wage? What is happening? What is this? What is that?
So the government should be more governance driven than...
Yes, and people should be
focus more on policies,
yes,
rather than giving handouts to people.
Yes, because that's what matters. Because you can't just come to class and then hand over the handouts of something that, assuming is a chemistry class, and then you come and give handouts to a SS1 student. How do you expect such person to comprehend it?
The government would argue with you that there are people that are dependent on this. I would not forget so quickly. Sadiya Farouk said that there are people that 5,000 naira, it will go a long way.
But how long are you going to spoon feed these people with that 5,000? That's not what matters. You have to take them. You have to take them through the route of learning through the hard way, or they learn through a soft way. There are two basic ways of learning. Either you go through the tough way, or you learn through the soft way.
Okay, Barrister, I'm looking at it from the point that I think you also have a problem with this palliative, it is all this intervention and sharing of palliatives and whatnot. So what about, let's look at it from the point of, let me ask you a question. Do you think that the truly vulnerable people are the people who actually get these palliatives?
No, unfortunately, the palliative is getting to the wrong hand because some insiders will hijack the system. And at the end of the day, the targeted people will not get the palliative. And you can take cognizance of that from what you just said. Sometime in 2020, thereabouts, the COVID period, a first-class king in Lagos, you can see what people entered his property and then discovered a lot of those products that the government, and not even that. What about other states, wherein even in FCT recently, where people have to enter a particular property, and then you can see what unfold from that property.
Actually, said that one was a private property, but
somebody harbored it there, and they are proceed of a palliative package. And people went out there. You can, if you observe the video clip that came on air, you'll see that even the police, Nigerian police, they were watching people, because at a point they just have to give up. Like, these are public property, and then why is it that somebody came to harbor those items here? So the point I'm making is that, apart from the fact that I'm certain, and anytime, any day, I will say that the government have failed in their primary responsibility, let me also say that the government is trying to cover up for their inefficiency and gross incompetency. We don't have anything under anything like palliative under President Olusegun Obasanjo then. Well, I don't think there's anything common that is all over the federation, like palliative this, palliative that, palliative this, palliative that, as is what we are now hearing now. I want to remove fuel subsidy. I want to make government so sweet for people to sail, and then we are facing all this hardship. People are now feeding on palliative. It's unacceptable. It's not done. Are we operating like what is obtainable in the Middle East, where other nations we need to come and feed them? No.
So basically, are you saying that palliative, or this palliative initiative, is a failed one?
Yes, because people are dying. If you look,
you don't think it has had any impact whatsoever on the people?
Yes, because how long are people going to feed on 7.6 kg of rice you are giving them? How long? How much is 5,000 in this hard economy? How much is it? Somebody is spending 5,000 on his fuel through and flow from mainland to island on a daily basis. You calculate it in a week, that's 25,000.
I don't think the 5,000 is for someone who owns a car in the first place.
So apparently,
so I don't think it's for someone who owns a car in the first place.
Depending on the location from the mainland to the island, presumably, let's even target for that amount. Assuming it's from somewhere from Bagada to somewhere ‟ thereabout, or Victoria Island, let's even target. So, and then you see that the payroll is not even, it's on a low level. How do you expect that person to balance the equation? So the government should not deceive us. People should come out and demand for good governance. The government should stop hiding under what.
But are you saying that there are not people who actually do need these palliatives desperately?
Everybody needs it. Not let us not put that word desperately. The government have made the whole situation so tough. People are finding it so hard to eat as I'm speaking to you. Everybody is affecting everybody. Nobody is exempted. We all need it. Nobody is above what they are sharing. At least it will add up and spice up. We cannot say that a little thing is a little thing, but faithfulness in a little thing makes it a very big thing. The point I'm making is that even 1 naira means something to Dangote, and that is why you see him on that class up till date. That's why he's selling Dangote sugar, Dangote salt for 150 or something there. So it means a lot to everybody. People say need it, but the point I'm making is two-way traffic. One, the government have failed. Let them accept and do something about it. Then number two, assuming the government wants to continue with this palliative system, it can be the government should rebrand it. It can be well repackaged.
I was going to go there because whether we like it or not, it is something I think that even governors, local government chairmen, councillors, the federal government, everybody seems to be invested in palliative sharing, and it's becoming a norm at this point.
And that is why we need to condemn it. How long are you going to feed people? We need to ask ourselves that question. How long are you going to feed people of a rice that will not even take them for 2 to 3 days? How long? We need to tell ourselves the reality. This is a time.
Some will ask, what would they use to cook the rice?
It's another competent.
Why do they not have gas?
Competent and valid question. And then some people will even hijack the system. That is the point. That's the point of corruption all over. Government will introduce a policy. Somebody will go somewhere there and hijack it. They will take it to their personal advantage. Okay. And then they'll be selling it.
Let me bring you back to your train of thoughts, because you were already talking about even if the government wants to insist, or even if they insist that this palliative initiative has come to stay, we're going to keep sharing rice, we're going to keep sharing grains, we're going to keep sharing wheelbarrows and all of that. Even if, what are the ways that we can avoid all of these cases of stampede or cases of, boggling of warehouses?
The government needs to identify certain class of people, because it's not what somebody in Lagos State may need that somebody in Kano State will need to function well. That's number one. Then number two is that the government needs to take responsibility of certain factors. What are the factors? One, the security situation of a particular people. For example, assuming you want to go and distribute rice to students, you don't just go and station those rice on campus where those students can see, because students at that level, with their little understanding about lifestyle, what they are good at is a looter. They will sing and enter that place, and if the security personnel are not well trained, they will think they are coming with war. But whereas it's fun for them. I recall those days when we were in school. We used to shout and then go to the VC house. But the VC will come out, pamper us, lullaby us, and then you say, my dear students, I'll do this. Even though some of those promises are fake, but that is a aura, that is a feeling at that particular time. But after school, for example, now look at what happened recently in Lagos State at the custom office. And government authorized any palliative from that office, hand them over to the humanitarian office. What is the essence of having such office and then they are not working? Is that the responsibility of custom to distribute rice? That's where the government have failed. The government don't even do survey. Government should also need to do survey before you go and say you want to start sharing palliative. Moving out. So you must identify the empower people. You empower people. Empowerment is very key. You just empower them, and then you come as opposed to that environment, as against continue to feed them, you to pamper them, see that the government is paying for people. It's not the duty, it's not the responsibility of the government to pay for private trip. People that are going to Jerusalem, you go on a private trip, taking the responsibility of what are the measures that the government, which I think is government need to on to government. You are going through out. How are you going to marry? Also need to drop this issue of tribalism. So it's all inclusive. The people that voted you, they have.
Let's also look very quickly, especially to mitigate all of this. But what about the rules?
Quickly, that when you create an atmosphere for an offense to be committed, you are as guilty as a party that participated in that crime. And that is why I'm saying that the government knows that Nigerians are hungry right now. People are hungry. People are finding it so hard to feed. People are eating once in a day on a daily basis as I'm speaking to you right now. So if you bring anything out, assuming you take 20,000 of rice to Anthony bus stop here now, you'll see more than almost about 50,000 people. So what security do you think that can equate that when we have less than about 500,000 Nigerian police personnel in Nigeria? How many are we going to take to that place? So my point is that we need to start from the beginning. We need to identify the issues involved. We should not create an enabling atmosphere for stampede to happen. So we need to go through the proper route. We need to identify people and take it there. I'm not disputing the functions of the Nigerian police force or the personnel from ensuring that stampede does not happen subsequently. But the point I'm making is very clear. They have their role, their job description. They will always be there. But you agree with me that when you have about 500 police on guard, are you there? You have 500 policemen on guard. And then you have about 5,000 people. How do you expect them to control it? How do you expect them to control that? That is the point I'm making. So the manpower, people's power will always, because this is food. Everybody will want to come and claim their own. You see thug, you see hoodlums, you see criminals, you see family fighting for themselves, you see tribal factors fighting and everything. So if the government wants to do it to avoid stampede, the government needs to identify people.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Barrister. I appreciate. This is the Situation Room on Mainland 98.3 FM. We're live on Facebook and YouTube at Mainland 98.3 FM on both platforms. Thank you to those who have joined us. Don't forget, you can drop your contributions in the live chat section as the show progresses. At the turn of 5, we'll take all the contributions together. I think it's safe to say that at the end of the day, we can say that palliative distribution is a wasteful venture, or it's an unreliable, unsustainable one, according to a Barrister Tao, who believes that there are other ways with which the government can actually support or cushion effect things as regards policies that are being rolled out that may inconvenience the people. As people work rather than the cash handouts to people. I personally had a problem, and that's why when Madam Sadiya Farouk then was trying to justify the 5,000 naira distribution, I was saying, there are people, those who are not in the rural areas, who do not have access to who are not financially inclusive, they don't have bank accounts, so it's very important that we have to give them the cash. And I'm like, this is like putting I don't know, it's like putting meat in front of the dog and says, don't touch it, I'm coming, don't touch it. It's just a very interesting way to look at it. So let's have a conversation. Drop your comments in the live chat section. What do you think? Palliatives, do you agree that it is an unsustainable and wasteful venture, sharing of palliatives, or do you think that it is a necessary measure in short term, to help the people as in short term? Now, that is that. This is 4:31 a.m. PM rather. So let's quickly run to the second report that we're going to be looking at this morning, the second story, which is as regards the rights of electricity consumers in Nigeria. Let's very quickly let's look at that. So I mentioned earlier that between 2017 and 2023, we've had the power grid collapse about 46 times, and this is according to a report by the International Energy Agency. And despite all of these challenges, the discos continue to smile to the bank, all right, where they're still allocating outrageous billing to consumers. A serious cause of concern, especially you have the likes of 𝐴𝐾DC, that's Ikeja Distribution, Eco Distribution, both of them the highest, earners as regards the discos, as far as discos are concerned. And then you have Yola Disco as at the bottom, or one of the ones that are at the bottom. And then, but then you have people who are complaining that we spend so much money and then there's no light, there's blackout. Is another conversation as regards fuel. I have to pay so much money to buy fuel. Fuel is not ridiculously expensive, but then especially for business owners who are heavily dependent on power, energy is very important to them. So there's no light, so what exactly am I paying for? Okay, I mean, yes, the prepaid guys may be like, well, I mean, as long as it's not reading, I'm fine. But then the truth is, a large chunk of electricity consumers in Nigeria are still on estimated billing system. They're still on the postpaid. So that's one conversation that we need to talk about. The second is as regards facilities or amenities or equipment that you need for your power to be available, or the fact that you go to some discos, we've not had light for a period, they tell you, okay, well, you have to pay for this, you have to pay for that, you have to pay for this, you have to pay for that. Some will even tell you that, okay, please, you people should go and bring a car. We don't have car that will bring us to the place. So many things. I've heard a lot of things, but there's just a lot that people also have to pay from their pocket for, that they're not supposed to pay for. And also the fact that some people, and the fact that some people are given preferential treatment over some. You see that some areas they have 4 hours of light, and then some areas they have just 8 hours, and then that's it. What exactly is going on as regards that? So there's a lot that we need to, discuss. Also, the fact that the federal government claims that there's a 65% subsidy, on electricity. But then why are we still suffering blackouts? And we'll also look at the policies of Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, where some would argue that some of these policies actually benefit the discos more, but do not necessarily increase power supply to the consumers. All right. So we'll also look at, is it the discos? Are they the ones that, we should focus on? Or is it the GENCOs? Or is it even TCN? Who exactly should we hold responsible at this point now? So, but